Welcome back to Soul Growth Stories, where we explore the profound journeys of the human spirit and the lessons of life. In a village forgotten by the rain, the earth was parched and cracked, thirsting for water that simply refused to come. The people lived in constant fear of the drought, watching their crops turn to dust while praying for a single drop. Among them stood Luca, a man of strong will who refused to accept this cruel fate without putting up a fight. He decided to take matters into his own hands, believing that deep beneath the dry surface, a life-saving spring was waiting. With a heavy swing, he struck the hard ground, marking the beginning of a challenge that would test his very soul. The sun beat down mercilessly on his back, but Luca ignored the heat, driven by the vision of cool, clear water. As the hours turned into days, the hole grew deeper, and Luca felt a sense of pride in his honest progress.
Passers-by watched him with skepticism, whispering that he was wasting his energy on a fool's errand in such dry land. Luca closed his ears to their doubts, focusing only on the rhythm of his pickaxe striking the unforgiving earth below him. Even when the moon rose high, he continued his labor, his shadow dancing on the walls of the deep, dark pit. But soon, his tool struck a layer of solid rock that sent a painful shockwave through his tired, blistered hands. He sat down in the dirt, looking at his wounded palms, feeling the first cold creep of doubt entering his heart. From above, the world seemed so far away, and he felt incredibly small against the massive resistance of the silent earth. He forced himself to stand and strike again, but his strength was fading, and the rock seemed to mock his efforts. His mind began to play tricks on him, showing him visions of flowing water that vanished as soon as he blinked. A concerned friend called down to him, begging him to stop this madness before he completely destroyed his own broken body. Luca looked up at the circle of blue sky, realizing how deep he had gone without seeing a single drop of moisture. He crushed a clod of earth in his fist, and it crumbled into dry powder, just like his once burning ambition. A dark voice inside his head began to whisper that he was a fool, wasting his precious time chasing a fantasy. In a moment of pure frustration, he threw his tool against the wall, letting out a scream of anger and defeat. The silence that followed was heavy and suffocating, amplifying the feeling that he was completely alone in his futile struggle. With a heavy heart, he made the decision to quit, grabbing the rope to pull himself out of his own failure. Standing on the surface again, he looked down into the darkness one last time, feeling a bitter mixture of relief and shame. He gathered his worn-out tools and walked away, turning his back on the weeks of hard labor that amounted to nothing. The well remained there, a gaping wound in the earth, abandoned and silent, waiting for a destiny that seemed to have passed. Days later, a stranger passing through the village stumbled upon the site and stopped to examine the deep excavation with curiosity. He dropped a small stone into the darkness and listened intently, calculating the depth and the potential that lay hidden below. A knowing smile crossed his face as he realized that the hardest work had already been done by someone who gave up. He descended into the pit, picked up the discarded tool, and began to strike the ground with fresh energy and hope. His blows were precise and powerful, chipping away at the final barrier that stood between the dry surface and the treasure. After only a short time of digging, the sound of the strike changed, and the dry dust began to turn damp. Suddenly, with one final strike, a stream of clear, cool water burst forth from the crack, spraying into the air. The water flowed freely, rising quickly around his boots, washing away the dust and filling the silence with a joyous sound. He climbed out of the well with speed, shouting to the villagers to come and witness the miracle that had occurred. The people ran to the site, their eyes wide with disbelief as they heard the unmistakable sound of rushing water below. Luca, sitting alone in his dark home, heard the commotion and stepped outside, confused by the sudden celebration in the streets. He pushed his way through the gathering crowd and froze in his tracks, staring at the abundant water filling his well. His heart skipped a beat as the reality of the situation crashed down on him with the weight of a mountain. The stranger explained that he had only dug a few inches deeper before the water source was finally released from the earth. Luca realized with horror that he had stopped digging when he was literally moments away from achieving his greatest dream. He knelt and touched the cool water, feeling a bitter sting of regret knowing that this success should have been his. While the village celebrated their salvation, Luca stood alone in the crowd, haunted by the ghost of his premature surrender. He looked at his scarred hands, realizing that his weeks of suffering had only served to pave the way for another. The thought replayed in his mind over and over again, if only he had struck the ground just one more time. His story became a living lesson for everyone, illustrating that the line between failure and success is often razor-thin. Slowly, Luca wiped his face and stood up, transforming his painful regret into a wisdom that he would carry forever. He shook the hand of the stranger, accepting that while he lost the credit, the village had gained its life. Water brought life back to the dying land, turning the brown dust into green fields and bringing hope to all. Luca took this hard lesson to heart and began to approach every new challenge in his life with unwavering persistence. He became a mentor to the young, sitting by the well and teaching them that the darkest hour is before dawn. The well stood as a permanent monument to perseverance, its waters reflecting the truth that effort must be sustained to the end. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Luca found peace not in the water he missed, but in the wisdom he gained, knowing he would never quit again. Whatever your personal desert may be, keep digging, keep striving, and keep believing in the breakthrough that awaits you. Let your faith be stronger than your fear, and your persistence be greater than the obstacles standing in your way. Remember that the greatest rewards are often hidden behind the hardest moments, waiting for those who refuse to turn back. Walk forward with the knowledge that every step, no matter how difficult, is bringing you closer to your own miracle. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. May you find the strength to dig until you strike water. This has been Soul Growth Stories. Please subscribe for more inspiring tales, and remember to never, ever give up hope.